Hello and welcome to this online video lecture about element and compound formulas. By the end of this video lecture, you should be able to look at a chemical formula and decide if it's for an element or a compound. Pretty simple. Before we get started, let's just talk about what a formula is. I believe it's the first time we have talked about that in a video lecture. If you look up on the periodic table of the elements, let me drag it in here real quick. When you look at the periodic table, you'll see that all of the elements have either a one-letter or a two-letter abbreviation for them. And these are called the element's atomic symbol. And when you use atomic symbols to represent elements, either by themselves or in combination with other elements, then we call that a chemical formula. So basically, all chemical formulas are going to be one or more of these abbreviations called chemical symbols combined. So how do you tell then if something's an element or a compound by looking at its formula? It's really easy. If you see a formula and it only has one element's chemical symbol, so for example you see just C written, then that's one element's symbol. That's only one element. And so that means that that's an element. But if you see two or more elements, chemical symbols together, like together with nothing in between them, like this, that's got two elements in it, then that's a compound. Now, that's pretty simple. If it's just one element symbol in the formula, then that's an element. If there are two or more element symbols in the formula, then that's a compound. That's pretty easy. But there are some things that can kind of maybe confuse you a little bit. And most of them have to do with these little guys right here. And these are called subscripts. And that basically tells you how many atoms of that element are in the substance that you're reading off the page. So for example, in CO2, there's one carbon atom and there's two oxygen atoms. And that can sometimes confuse students as to whether they're looking at a compound or an element. Oxygen gas, which is in the air that we breathe, is two oxygen atoms bonded together. So its formula is O2. But you have to ask yourself, how many different kinds of elements are there here? Not how many atoms there are, but how many different kinds of elements. There's only one element, that element oxygen. There's no other element in this compound. And because there's only one element, that is the formula of an element. Even though it has a little 2 here, there's only one element's chemical symbol in this formula, so that's an element. Contrast that with water, which is H2O, and now you have the symbol for H, which is hydrogen, which is one element, and the symbol for O, which is oxygen. The symbol O is for oxygen, and that's another element, so there are two elements in this. And so that means that H2O is the formula for a compound. And that's truly all that there is to this. It just boils down to if there's only one element's symbol in the formula, or if there are more than one element's symbols in the formulas. There can be other weird things that pop up too, like sometimes there are parentheses in formulas. Like you might see the formula Cu parenthesis SO4. Actually, let me erase the Cu. Sorry. You might see Fe2SO4 That is something that you would actually see. And there's a lot of gobbledygook in there other than elements, chemical symbols. But all you literally have to ask yourself, is there more than one element in this compound? There's two irons in this compound. There is a sulfur in this compound, and there are oxygens in this compound. So when you ask yourself, is this more than one element together, the answer to that is yes, which means that Fe2 parenthesis SO4 parenthesis 3 is a compound. Now you don't know what that compound is yet, iron sulfate, but you will learn that later on in the course. So that is how you can tell by looking at formulas whether the substance in question that's been written out as a formula is an element or a compound. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in class, and thanks for watching.